I'm curious. For anybody who's either starting real estate or has been in real estate for a long time, I want to ask you this simple, very important question. And the question is, are you interested or are you very much committed? And that sounds like a crazy cliche question, but it has a lot of important merit. Okay. My name is Hani Faraj with Real Estate Legacy Builders. And today I want to talk about the difference between interested and committed. And it all started out with, and I actually didn't understand this until years later, but many years ago, in the actually late 2000s, I was working at a car dealership. Things were not going well for me. I don't know if you guys remember, but the collapse of the financial uh, systems, Lehman Brothers, Fannie Mae, a bunch of different things happened. Although they were in the States, it affected everybody. It's a trickle effect globally. And, I was selling cars and I was working really hard. And somebody told me that, if I worked really hard, something would happen that real estate, at least selling cars would change my life. And I truly believe that at that moment. And something happened. This guy called me. We were selling a BMW Z3, I believe, or something like that. And it's a beautiful drop top hardcover, fully automated. It's a used car. And this guy called me. The dealership I worked at was in Vancouver East. And this guy came from Surrey. He's a director at a company called London Life, or eventually became Freedom 55. This guy named Les. Great guy. He's a regional manager, amazing human being, all this stuff. And he had gotten this promotion. And him and his wife were like, hey, look, you know what? I'm gonna buy myself a little treat. And I completely agreed. So he called me up. He's like, "Hey, tell me about the cars, the cleaners of this." I was like, "Look, we've done all kinds of different things on it. If you're interested, call me." So he said, "Look, I'm gonna give you a credit card right now over the phone. Hold it until I come on the weekend." I said, "Okay, great, fair enough." So he came on the weekend. He drove the car. I went out of my way to make sure he was happy. I do very well with people who are of higher rankings. So I'm very good at saving people time in anything I did. I'm very much a servant, have the servant-like mentality. And, it was really simple, man. This guy, really nice guy, he showed up, we drove the car, whatever, took care of the car. And then there's a little bit of problem with the rim, and we ended up fixing it. And, he couldn't believe it. Eventually, when I called him, like, hey, do you want me to come pick you up? I live in, at the time, I can come pick you up from your regional office. And so, because how the hell are you gonna drive? He had another car. He wasn't trading it in. He was just paying cash, all this stuff. So long story short, I ended up picked him up, drove him there, and we got the whole thing done. And at the end of it, he's like, "Look, you know what, honey? I really like how you move, man. You should come talk to me and let's talk about it." It's okay, great. I'd like to get you into the insurance business and so on and so forth. And you know, something happened. I ended up meeting with the man. He's a great guy. And, I said something. I did a bunch of tests. He asked me to do some tests, which cost money and whatnot. And at the end of it, I was like, you know what? Let me give this a try. I want to try this business. And he said, look, unfortunately, that's not the right word. I said, what do you mean? He's like, honey, people who are successful ask, what do I need to do to make this work? They work backwards. They say, look, I need to make 10,000, 15,000, 100,000 a month. What do I need to do to get to that level? Versus people that say, let me give this a try. I said, huh, interesting. Okay. He's like, trust me, I've been doing this a long time. I've had lots of people come through here. They've done different things, all this stuff. And he's like, what I realize is that the people are really successful at this business. They're really good at asking the question, what do I need to do to be successful? Now, I'll be honest with you, I had no passion for insurance product, telling people, buying, whether it's life insurance or whole life or universal or whatever. I had no real interest in that. But then eventually I got into real estate. And, you know, then because I really loved real estate, I had a passion for it. I really liked making it work. We started asking the question, what do I need to do to make it work? What are the things that I need to do to be successful in real estate? And the question eventually became, well, first of all, you got to book X amount of numbers of appointments. You got to have X amount of number of calls. You got to have X amount of people show up. You have to have X amount of people agree to work with you, and so on and so forth. And that was I would call the tipping point. There's a tipping point of understanding what do I need to do to be successful. And I now, when I recruit realtors to my business on my team, I asked, like, I'm curious, what happens? I have this really important question, and the question goes like this. I'm curious, what would happen if you joined my team and it didn't work out? What would you do? You know, will you continue? What would I'm curious, how are you going to handle that in your business and your life or whatnot? And a lot of people say, well, I guess I can always go back to my job. I guess I could try something else. I guess I would quit and do something else. Well, I guess I would whatever. And these are the answers that I get from a lot of people. And it's kind of blowing to me. But I say, look, that's cool, no problem. Um, but to be honest with you, that's not the answer I'm looking for. I've had a lot of people, I've trained a lot of people, good and bad, and I've had really successful people. And the people that I think are the best ones that are the most successful, they'll come to me and say, hey, honey, this isn't working for me. What do I need to do? What's the problem? Can I come over and make calls with you? What am I missing? And sometimes it's a mindset, sometimes the lack of the right expectations that real estate isn't something you can just turn on a dime and make this happen. This is the biggest purchase in somebody's life, especially if you're in my area, Vancouver. Average detached home is like $1.9 million in South Surrey and Surrey. Not South Surrey, but Surrey is like the average detached home is 1.4, 1.5 at the time of this recording. It's not a joke, man. This isn't something where like you're not selling panties, you're not selling underwear where you can just put something online, go build a store and go send your friends and family and somebody's gonna buy, somebody's gonna humor you. It's not it, man. That's not it. It's a real business. It takes a long time and especially if you're young and not that if you're not going to be successful as a young person, but you're young and there's a big purchase decision, people are going to look at you like, I don't know, man, I'm not really sure. So like it's kind of a funny thing. So the question is, before you get into real estate, ask this: if I don't get it right away, how long before I give up? Or and if you answer the question, oh, 6 months, a year, or whatever, okay, that's maybe you should reconsider. And the question should be, well, another question you should ask yourself, am I committed to this or am I interested? I'll tell you another story. So I won't mention names, but this guy had a job. He had a different job. And his job was delivering flyers, delivering mail, whatever. Okay. And he was a real estate agent. Great guy. I have a lot of respect for this guy. And I remember one time, he joined my team and he said, I had a listing. This is early in my career. I had a listing in Burnaby and I had a showing. This lady was amazing. She's like, look, I really like you're really honest because they wanted to make an offer on my place. At the time you could double end, but I said, look, I don't feel good you double ending my place. I mean, I don't mind. I'll write the contract, no one, but you should get your own realtor. And at the time, you could kind of give it to somebody outside of your team and so on and so forth. So long story short, I ended up giving it, so she's like, look, I want to look at this place before I make an offer on your place. Can you take me out tomorrow or the day after? And I said, look, unfortunately, I have this guy coming from New York. There's this other client of mine or whatever. He was coming from New York, which ended up being a complete waste of time. I should have actually kept her, funny enough. But I just didn't. I was like, look, I have to do a lot of work with this guy. He takes because he comes from New York. I like to spend the whole day showing him stuff. I don't feel like I'm gonna be the right guy. So I said, look, you can go with my friend or whatever. And this guy's like, dude, I have to deliver a mail. And the day after, I got a freaking, I got a freaking I'm going on vacation. And I said, look, just do what I say. Like just take her out. Unfortunately, this guy's coming from New York. There's nothing else I could do about it. So long story short, the guy ends up going to his place of work. He grabbed the mail, he put it in his car, and then he ended up changing behind a car in the alleyway somewhere. And then eventually he took her out on tour. She ended up, funny enough, he showed her a bunch of properties. She liked one, funny enough. And then she wanted to make an offer. Well, back then we didn't use DocuSign. We didn't use all that stuff. It existed, but we just weren't that bright to use it. And again, for she was buying for a lot of money, like I think 1.6 or something. He goes home, he prints it, goes back. And long story short, it was a long ordeal. He was working till I think 8 or 9 o'clock. And then, by the time he was done, he had to go back, deliver the mail that he had. And then he called her. And then she was like, "Hey, I just got a counter." He ended up getting a counter, so he had to go back to her house at 10 o'clock, 11. And then in the morning, he went to the airport to go on vacation. And I'm not telling you this to like impress you or whatever. It wasn't me. I wish it was me and I could tell you that story, other stories which were not that important. But I would say it blew my mind how interested, how committed this guy was. He really wanted to get out of delivering mail. He wanted to quit. He wanted to get out of it. It was horrible to him. He hated it. He was like, it's mindless. He was a really smart guy and so on and so forth. And he just wanted to get out of it. It was a really telling story to me that was like, holy moly, like, man, this guy really hates, he really wants to change his life. He really wants to make something happen in his life. And he's sick and tired of dealing with this mail delivery business. And this was way to do it. Now, eventually he went on vacation. Lucky for me, I was able to close the deal. I kind of got the seller to kind of drop his price. I got the buyer to pay a little bit more. We got it done. But I couldn't have done it without this person working. And the beautiful thing about it is that to this day, I tell everybody about it. Because if somebody could find a way that if somebody isn't interested, if they're actually not committed, I would say, they wouldn't have done all that. They wouldn't have done that. They just wouldn't. They're like, "Oh, sorry, man, I got to work. Sorry, I can't do anything, blah, blah, blah." That's not just how it works. I'll tell you another story. Again, I'm 40 something years old, just had a baby 4 or 5 months ago. And I remember like basically when my daughter was born, obviously I spent a couple of days in the hospital, all that stuff. But when my wife came, I remember I slept, I woke up, and I don't know what happened, but I had given this lead to one of my realtors. Love them all, they're awesome. But this realtor was telling me, "Look, man, this so and so is not really being responsive. I don't know what's going on, blah, 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 this BS." And I was like, I don't know if I believe it. This lady was like all over me. She was like crazy, like really wanted to go out all the time, all this stuff. And I just like, I believe you, but let me check on her. So I was like, "Hey, so and so, how's it going?" She's like, "Oh, I don't know, blah, 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 whatever. It's been, I don't know." I'm like, "Listen, the market's going to go up, all this stuff." So again, my daughter just being born, all this stuff. So within a week, this lady had already bought a place with me. Okay. And like, again, I'm not saying that I'm special or anything. I just like, look, this is a real serious business. I'm going to have to, I want to do this. I want to make sure this works. And I want to make sure this lady buys with me. And I just know when you have a hot buyer and you're not being as attentive and as responsive as they want you to be, they will say, "This guy's not interested. Let me move on." Okay. I'm not telling you to be thirsty or too much into, look, I want a buyer, you want to push people. No, not at all. You let them come to you, but you check in with them all the time, even if they're not being responsive. So again, message her, like, let's look at that day we went on a tour. The day after we went on a tour, Saturday, Sunday, we went on a tour. By Monday, we had an accepted offer. And, eventually she told me, she's like, "Look, your buddy there, one of your realtors, they were really cold. They were really passive. And I really don't, I'm so glad you pushed me." That lady, she was so grateful. The day I got her an accepted offer in January, by April, when she got her key, her property had gone up by $80,000. No bill, no BS. Okay. And again, this is the difference between being committed and interested. I'll tell you another story. Today we're looking this last 7 days. Okay, we took 4 listings. Okay, we took 4 listings. The commission that will come from that is over 100 grand. Okay, and today is Saturday, and I'm making calls. Okay, I'm making this video, then I'm going to jump on and make the calls and stuff like that. And I'm not telling you this because I'm a saint, I'm special, there's anything special about me, or you should give me a crown or whatever. That's just our business, man. If you're not committed, you're gonna say, "Oh, I got this money coming in, I don't care, whatever." And that's just not reality, man. That's not reality. Like, you're a sales guy. Every day you start with zero. Every day you start with zero. You gotta bust your hump to make sure you fill up your pipeline, even if you have 100 years worth of closings happening. I'll tell you another story, which is the honest to God truth. Last year, one of my realtors ended up pre-selling 15 units. It was over $100,000 in commission, 150,000 to be exact. Well, guess what? 6 months later, the developer ended up canceling the deal. There was no penalty. All their people got their money back, and that money's not coming. This guy was counting. He slept. He went to sleep because he thought he was going to close all these deals. 15 deals, 150,000. The guy lost. Okay, so I'm not telling you this to scare you, whatever. If you're committed, you go to work every day, 6 days a week. That's what I learned from my mentor. Okay, this guy's caked up. He's got 100 properties he owns and all that stuff. And I'm telling you, if you're committed, you'll do anything, whatever it takes, even if you have 5 kids, you have a job, you have this, you have that. That's the difference. Interested is like, yeah, I'll get to it. I'll start tomorrow. The biggest indicator to me is of somebody who's interested or committed. And I do this all the time. I'm like, here's a homework. Go do it. Literally, the best guy on the team right now, he'll send me the homework like this. He'll send it to me in seconds. Everybody else will takes weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks to actually send me the homework, and then this guy will do it almost instantly. Okay, so that's why I'm kind of wanting to talk to you guys. If you are in real estate and you are committed, I want you to in the video below say I'm committed, honey. I'm committed. Okay, and if you are interested, what I highly recommend you should quit real estate right now. So you're just interested in your, this is just a way for you to play. I'm not telling you to get out of real estate, whatever, because first of all, dude, you should life is too short, man. And many men and women live lives of quiet desperation. They're doing something for the wrong reasons. Meanwhile, in this day and age, you can do anything you want, and you can make money at it. You could be a dancer, you could be a model, you could be an influencer, you could be a cook, you could be a realtor coach, you could be a realtor, you could be anything, 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 anything. Okay, you can show people how to use Canva and make a buttload of money. Okay, I don't know if people say but or boat, but okay. So I'm just telling you, if you're going to be in real estate, which is what I do, and if you're committed, put in the comments, I'm committed. And I'm going to end with a story. You guys have heard of a guy named William James. And William James is the godfather of modern day psychology. And I'm going to botch the story up, but so forgive me. Okay. So William James was like actually, he was the son of a wealthy person. He was a business guy, his dad, or whatever. And up until 30s, he actually basically had a pretty screwed up life. He was rich. So he didn't really do much or whatever. And he ended up going on this trip in Africa. He got hurt. I don't even know. He almost died actually going to this trip in Africa. And by the time he came back, he started writing every single day. I'm responsible. 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 It's my fault. It's my fault. It's my fault. I'm responsible. I'm responsible. I'm responsible. And what happens when you say that? When he wrote that, he gave himself something called personal power. Okay. He took responsibility for his life. And then it led to a bunch of events. He went to this hospital. He saw these mentally ill people who were suffering from a lot of different problems and so on and so forth. And he said, there's a better way than just giving them electric shock therapy, all this stuff. Maybe we should talk to them. Maybe we should understand what their problems are, all this stuff. And eventually he invented the modern day psychology that we have now. Okay. But he was not a perfect person. He was a screw up, actually, up until the 30s, which is a long time by today's standards. Because especially back then, people in their 20s, they basically became, they graduated college, they got a job, they got a house, they got married, all this cool stuff or whatever. So, first of all, it's never too late. As long as you take personal responsibility, and if you are committed, things can turn around for you. So that's why I'm here for you. Okay. If you have any questions, please leave a comment below. Tell me what you think of this video. Like, subscribe, and share. Please. Okay. Thank you. I hope you have a wonderful day and good things are coming your way. Okay. Take care. Have a good day. Bye.